Hello and welcome to Monday's programme.
Your headlines tonight. County councillors brand the temporary closure of a maternity unit as a disgrace as hundreds attend a protest in Barnstaple.
If I gave birth to Elsie right now during the maternity closure, it would have resulted in me and Elsie dying basically on the side of the road with internal bleeding.
Please get vaccinated. The sister of a teenage boy who died after contracting meningitis at Boardmasters urges students to take up the free vaccine.
Farewell after nearly 50 years of service to the ferry that's carried 5 million passengers to the Isles of Scilly.
And although it still felt pretty warm, pretty humid out there today, we have got a few changes afoot as we head through the rest of this week. Stay tuned to find out more.
Good evening. First tonight, the closure of the maternity unit at North Devon District Hospital has been branded a disgrace by Devon County councillors who say there was a complete lack of consultation about the move.
It's going to leave expectant parents with up to 15-mile journey to the nearest maternity unit in Exeter. Well, today's criticism follows a protest in Barnstaple, which took place on Saturday. Richard Lawrence is outside the County Hall in Exeter. Richard, lots of angry councillors there.
Yes, and really this was their chance to give the leaders of the Royal Devon University Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust a proper grilling, if you like, to try to get to the bottom of what had led to this unprecedented situation where they felt that they had no option but to close the service. There was real anger here that this situation perhaps should have been avoided. They've quoted, for example, another remote hospital in Cumbria where this doesn't happen because they rely on services from the neighbouring hospital in Carlisle, something that they felt should have been brought into place, an emergency plan. But the councillors said, above all, they were shocked at how fragile the service was, and campaigners too, who are keen to see it all reinstated.
Very much surprised me that only 2 people being off meant that the whole maternity service in North Devon had to be suspended. It's an incredibly fragile service, and it seemed to happen very, very quickly that the service was being sustained and it suddenly went into crisis.
Well, I think it's a catastrophic failure of senior management, both at the NHS Trust but also the Integrated Care Board. They've had months, if not years, to sort this out, and they've singularly failed to do it. And as a result, expectant mothers in North Devon are now suffering the extra stress and anxiety or for what should be a momentous and wonderful occasion, you know, giving birth. And that is unacceptable.
I think today the primary focus is to make sure that our unit reopens, and it reopens in a timely fashion. They were talking about weeks, not months, which is deeply reassuring. But for me, the point of coming was to make sure that this is a catalyst to our service, not just reopening, but reopening better, reopening more transparently, and reopening in a way where it thrives in the end, and it provides that care to our local women and birthing people that is so important.
Richard, strong feelings there in Exeter, and lots of strong feelings as well on Saturday when the people attended the protest in Barnstaple.
Yes, here it's been a place where people have discussed everything in a debating chamber. Katie Quick, who you heard from there, was one of the parents that had joined the hundreds of people that had taken part in the demonstrations in the heat in the centre of Barnstaple on Saturday afternoon, all very deeply concerned about the stress that many of them are now facing, worrying about their birth plans over the next few weeks.
I suffered a placental abruption whilst in labour, and I feel like if the maternity closure was going on last year when I delivered Elsie, or if I gave birth to Elsie right now during the maternity closure, it would have resulted in me and Elsie dying basically on the side of the road with internal bleeding.
Pregnancy already is, as amazing of a time it is, it's still terrifying, and the idea that you've got to go through all of that, but potentially an hour in the car, 2 hours in the car. I mean, one of the mums that I spoke to, even before the ward actually shut and she got blue lighted, the closest hospital she could get to was Bath. So it's just really scary, and I think it puts mums and babies at risk.
Well, the Health Trust say it is one of the remotest hospitals in England, and historically they've always had difficulty in recruiting certain people to certain key positions. But they say for now there are 2 people that they have in mind to take up full-time roles that are going through checks and clearances, but it'll take some time before they're put in position and be in a situation where they can work unsupervised according to the roster, and that could be as late as the end of September. But it's still a case of fingers crossed and a feeling of regret here from the County Council that they weren't able to try and put forward solutions.
OK, it's a worrying time for a lot of mothers-to-be. Richard, thank you for the update.
The sister of a teenage boy who died after contracting meningitis at Boardmasters is urging young people to take the free vaccine before starting university.
Yes, George Zagrafu was celebrating his A-level results at Boardmasters Festival when he caught the disease.
2 people died after an outbreak in Kent earlier this year, but only a third of those eligible in Cornwall have taken up the offer. Charlotte Gay reports.
18! Just turned 18 and with everything to look forward to. A carefree George Zagrafu went to Boardmasters with mates, but he came down ill very quickly, and it wasn't recognised in time that he had contracted meningitis B. Yesterday was the 9th anniversary of George's death.
So George was incredibly bright, handsome, he was sociable, and he was absolutely full of life. When we heard about the meningitis cases this year, it brought back so many memories, and it felt like we were back there with those families. It felt like it was happening to us all over again. We were incredibly devastated and affected by the students who lost their lives in Kent.
The Kent outbreak was unusual because of how quickly it spread, with 15 cases in 48 hours. So a vaccination programme was set up in direct response. Recently, lots of teenagers were partying just like George did at Boardmasters, but awareness around the new free meningitis B vaccine for teenagers and how to get it was mixed.
We've been sent possibilities about a vaccine, but I haven't had anything yet.
Would you take a free vaccine if you could?
Well, if it's free, yeah. I don't want to get meningitis.
I don't see a reason. I haven't been ill for the first year or second year, so I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't see the reason.
We were going to pay for it, and then it came free off the NHS, and we all just did it.
Yeah, I had it a week ago.
I've spoken to people who were hesitant about it.
Yeah, so
they're like, oh, I'm not going to uni, I don't need it.
But it's not complicated to do, it's really simple.
Anyone under 25 heading to university for the first time can get the vaccine, but the primary focus is on 17 to 18-year-olds. More than 10,000 vaccines have been delivered across the wider southwest, but there are still lots of people not booking appointments.
A third of the appointments which we've got available have been taken up already. So that's a really encouraging start to people taking up the meningitis B vaccine, but it's not enough. Our youngsters, our sort of like 13 and below year olds, they're all fine. They were all given meningitis B as children, so they've got that cover. It's the group over the next 5 years who are turning sort of 17 and going off to university. They're the ones who've missed out, and it is the meningitis B particularly that we want to make sure that they have.
Nicole has made public health her life's work in order to prevent others dying like her little brother George.
When you're younger, you feel invincible, and you don't think something like this could affect you, and meningitis can affect anybody, and it can affect people very, very quickly, and it's a very serious illness. And if you have a vaccine available to you that's free, that families have been fighting for years, then there's no need to take that risk.
It takes 6 weeks to be protected by this vaccine, hopefully a small number compared to the rest of your life. Charlotte Gay, ITV News.
Well, let's talk now to Dr. Tom Nutt, who's the CEO at Meningitis Now, a charity that supports families like George's. Thank you very much for speaking to us. I saw some data today that said that around 10,000 young people in the southwest have taken up the vaccination. What's stopping the others?
Well, that's a good question. I think what we see is that it's a mixture of sort of practical things, like the fact that some people just simply haven't heard that there's an NHS vaccination programme, and it only launched last month, so we're still in the early stages of it. For some, there's the sort of perceived practical barriers, like, you know, how do you book and how do you get yourself down to the right chemist? But I think, as Nicole says in the piece, it's also because the kind of youngsters we're talking about really often do, sadly, consider themselves to be bomb-proof. Why do I need this vaccine? And yet, as George's case shows, it's really vital that people protect themselves if they can.
And obviously we had an awful reminder earlier this year in Kent, didn't we, where, as we heard in the report, it spread really quickly and suddenly everybody wanted the vaccine.
Yeah.
So can you remind anybody who's watching now, for them or their family, who's eligible and where should they go?
Yeah, so this is a MenB vaccination programme. It's for school leavers. In other words, people who are leaving year 13 this summer. They'll perhaps have been getting their A-level results. So they're eligible. That's an age criteria. But it's also people going off to university or college in a residential setting for the first time. And anyone up to the age of 25 can get the vaccine there. So it's not everybody, but it is people, as I say, leaving school and heading off to college.
Is it worrying that the message isn't getting through still?
I think it's always worrying for us because we see just how devastating meningitis can be, and yet we're talking about a vaccine that's very easy, it's very simple, it's effective, we know it's safe, we know it's effective, and we'd love for everybody who's eligible to take it up because it is a life-saving vaccine. So anything that can be done, so anyone watching tonight, if they've got youngsters, going off to college, do what you can to encourage them, or if it's young people watching themselves. As you saw from some of the people at Boardmasters, they've had that vaccine. It's not a big deal. Just get yourself down the chemist. It really is as simple as that.
I think you couldn't put it clearer, so hopefully that message will really get through. And if people want more information, there's loads on your website, is there? There
is, yes, meningitisnow.org. There's all sorts of information there about how you access the vaccine, but also any questions or queries people may have.
Brilliant. Tom, thank you so much for coming in and spreading that.
Thank you.
Well, you're watching ITV News in the West Country, as ever, with Alex and Seb.
And friends. Thank you for joining us this Monday evening. Still ahead before 6:30. After ferrying 5 million people to and from St Mary's for nearly 50 years, the Scillonian III is nearing the end of her final season.
And Charlie's going to be here with the forecast as well.
With a few spots of rain this morning, short-lived, but join me later to see if this marks the start of some more wet weather to come this week.
Yeah, for the first time, that might be exactly the kind of message we do want to hear from Charlie,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yes, some rain.
Now, first, a cancer support charity is calling for all local authorities to exempt terminally ill people from having to pay council tax. In research exclusively shared with ITV News, the Marie Curie charity says only 27 councils offer the option, which actually I didn't know.
I didn't know either. Well, the charity wants such policy to be adopted countrywide, as many people in final months of life can face severe financial hardship when their health is deteriorating and costs are rising. Kevin Ashford reports.
Audrey Buckham had to stop working to care for her husband Eddie when he was dying from cancer. He'd also had to give up his job, but the bills still had to be paid. And shortly before Eddie died, Audrey had to declare herself bankrupt. She says council tax payments were one of the most significant outgoings for them.
Council tax is the biggest bill, so that put a lot of pressure onto things. It meant, if we didn't have the council tax to pay, at least that would mean that you could spend that on heating, lighting, food, anything that we needed to help him, equipment or anything like that. So not having that council tax bill to pay would have been a great relief to us. At least at that time it would have helped.
Audrey's local council said they would urge residents in financial difficulties to contact them. There is legislation which allows local authorities to exempt people from having to pay council tax in exceptional circumstances such as suffering a terminal illness. But according to the Marie Curie charity, only 27 in the whole of England do so. The charity says it wants all councils to adopt the policy.
The amount of money this costs is remarkably low, but the impact it makes on families who are struggling financially into their life is absolutely enormous. What we hear from patients ourselves is that when they're in that position struggling, they are worrying all the time about their finances. We'd like to be able to focus on their health, on their relationships, and all the things that matter to people at the end of their life.
The government told us it was up to local authorities to decide whether to offer discounts or exemptions for the terminally ill. The local government association said the same. Audrey is backing the call for a countrywide adoption of the policy, so that when families are facing the darkest of times, financial worries at least can be eased. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Right, it's Monday. Time for a look at the sport.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
What did you just say to me?
I had to double check whether it's still Monday.
Everyone always knows it's a Monday. It's the worst day.
Yeah, it's
However,
the worst day, yes.
It is definitely time for sports, so
It's
that's
time
good
for
news,
sport.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's Monday.
Ross is here. League action back happening, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to start with Plymouth Argyle. They were brought back down to earth after their Devon Derby Cup win over Exeter with a home defeat by Stockport. The visitors, who were beaten in the playoff final in May, raced into a 3-0 lead before Argyle got a late consolation of their own. Now, if we stay on Argyle for a moment and matters off the pitch, investments, that's been a big talking point for the club, hasn't it, over recent times? Well, at their recent fans forum on Friday night, it came up again. Simon Hallett, the current owner, saying there are talks and it's something they are looking at with urgency.
We are in continuing talks, but the rules of the game are such that we can't disclose anything about who the people involved are, what the nature of the talks is. We're subject to non-disclosure agreements. So talks are ongoing. We're quite hopeful that they'll conclude in the next few weeks, but can't make any promises. But I will just say that the need for investment continues. So it's being treated obviously as a matter of some urgency.
Yeah, finances have been up for debate a lot over recent months. We'll see what happens there. Elsewhere though, Exeter City and the fans who made the long trip to Grimsby hoping to kickstart their League Two campaign. It was a tough first match for Matt Taylor and his team though. Their opponents were one of the better sides in this division last season. They conceded in the first half and then missed a few good chances of their own in the second. This one from Jaden Wareham, the big one that would have snatched a draw for them in stoppage time.
Listen, we have to get on with it, recover. It's the first game of the season. It's disappointing to lose the first game of the season, especially with the fans travelling the distance that they have. To not put on a winning performance for them is very disappointing. But listen, there's plenty more games to go. Our fans from the first minute to the 90th minute were fantastic, keeping us in the game. And I've always said it, they are our 12th man, and we're going to need them a lot this season. We've got a very young and inexperienced group, but stick with us for the whole season and we will reward you.
See how it goes. It's a non-league. Yeovil and Truro City secured draws, but Torquay got off the mark with their first win. The goals were on the road at Tunbridge Angels in the National League South and took the lead in the first half. They conceded an equaliser, but then with 83 minutes on the clock, former Exeter City captain Matt Jay popped up to steal all 3 points. Yeah, good celebrations there. Now, with the season underway and the results not going the way of our league sides in the region, I thought we'd leave you with this. Plymouth Parkway uploaded this clip with the caption, "No referees were harmed in the making of this video." It's been viewed a number of times already. Players showed a lot of concern for the referee. He was given some treatment, and after a short stoppage, he was able to carry on. Yeah.
It was viewed a number of times by us, actually, wasn't it?
We did enjoy it.
He did milk it a little bit.
I know. There's some things that happen in a pitch sometimes as a player where you're like, oh, I shouldn't laugh, but I'm going to. Yeah, I'm glad he's okay anyway. Glad you're okay.
Of course we're glad. Thank you very much, Ross.
Now, if you've ever caught a ferry to the Isles of Scilly, this vessel will be a familiar sight to you. The Scillonian III has ferried 5 million passengers to and from St Mary's for nearly 50 years.
But our reporter Grace Pascoe set sail on her to find out why this season is bittersweet for many and what the future holds for this vital sea link.
Penzance Harbour, 9:15 a.m. Time to set sail for St Mary's aboard the Scillonian III, a vessel that's carried over 5 million passengers to and from the Isles of Scilly over the last 49 years.
It's always different, and I can remember going on the Spoke when it first came into service, and we've also remembered when we've done bird watching trips.
We've been lucky every time we've come. It's been pretty calm. Yeah, it just really starts off the holiday really well. It's fun. We take the sleeper train to Penzance first, and then get on the ferry in the morning, and it's all part of the fun.
Just because it's just so stunning over there, the beautiful sand, and we've been fortunate every time we've come. We've had beautiful blue skies.
The Scillonian III was built in Appledore and launched in 1977 by the then Prince Charles.
Scillonian III.
Stuart Reid, who heads up the Isles of Scilly Steamship Group, says this season comes with a mix of emotions.
She's been a big part of not just the company's history, but the history of Scilly. So many sort of memories that, speaking with our passengers who come year after year, trips that they've sort of enjoyed on her, things that they've seen, so many distinctive memories that are so sad that she'll be ending. But also we're looking forward to a real new future for Scillonian IV. She is going to be absolutely incredible. I've been out to Vietnam and seen her, and she is absolutely breathtaking.
For the entire crew, this season is a special one.
She's still great. She's just old-fashioned, but that's the charm. She's old-fashioned but lovely. I really like it. I'm excited about the new one because that's a new thing as well. But I'll be sad to see this go. Lots of fond memories, lots of fun, lots of scary times, lots of seasick, but that's part of it. But like everybody on it, they're on it because they like it.
It's a time capsule of this type of ship. You'll never see any of this again, so it's great to work here. And it's a great run from here to the Scillies as well, so it's doing what we all love, but in a nice run. I mean, everybody loves this vessel, but this new one coming is going to have many more features, going to make it more comfortable, transit times quicker. Everything's just going to be an upscale of what we've already got now.
The Scillonian IV has now successfully completed sea trials in Vietnam. She's set to come into service in time for the 2027 season, which begins in March.
The first thing that passengers will notice when they come on board is the enhanced visibility. So it doesn't matter where you are on the sort of passenger decks, incredible sort of views that you'll be able to see as you go along the Cornish coast. We've invested huge amounts in the design and the stability of the vessel. So she will have stabilisation fins, which will improve the comfort of the journey, and a new piece of technology called a hull vane, which reduces the pitching and also reduces the number of emissions by slightly lifting the vessel out of the water to reduce the drag. So we're also looking at the environmental credentials of this vessel as well.
The Scillonian III has graced these waters for nearly 5 decades, making her a part of island life. In November, she's set to sail the route for the last time, making way for her replacement, but leaving lifelong memories for those who have sailed on her. Grace Pascoe, ITV News.
She will be missed. I was lucky enough to go on board to do a piece,
yeah.
my first ever piece for ITV West Country, and it was so nice to go on to the engine room.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, really amazing.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, well, changing times.
Exactly. Changing weather now, because Charlie, I tell you what, there was a bit of rain. I can see a bit of rain on that map as well.
I know. It's not AI. It's actually there on the radar picture from this morning, and enough to wet the ground as well, but no huge totals. But it's a step in the right direction, but almost as soon as those bits of rain worked through, we were back to some dry skies and a little bit of sunshine. In fact, temperatures up to about 27 or 28 Celsius at Exeter Airport, for example. So along with that, a pretty humid feel to things as well. But yeah, almost back to square. Well, not quite, though. Our camera operator, Kevin, was down at Cardinan Woods, where OK, it was pretty dry by that point. There's a gentle breeze. That didn't really help the feel of things too much. There was some running water as well, and that's something we may just see a little bit more of, hopefully, as we head through the tail end of this week. Still some sunshine around and still a bit of a warm feel, but not quite as much blue sky overhead. So starting to see some changes. But you're right, changes that we need, right?
Yeah, we definitely do need it. I mean, on the map that you started with, actually the world looks very green, and it's not, is it? So any more respite?
A little bit. Now, this next chart shows rainfall accumulation as we work our way through the next few days, right the way through until Saturday morning. It does show that some of the UK will see some rainfall, but the scale over here shows very small amounts, only up to maybe 5 millimetres by the time we get through to the weekend. So some, but still not enough.
Today's forecast, blue skies, followed by a spread of hot and cold plates. TUI sponsors ITV West Country weather.
But some is better than none. We can all agree on that. So yes, a little bit more wet weather to come, and it's something we've been needing for so long now. A bit more of a breeze, and temperatures on the way down as well. So we're losing that kind of uncomfortable heat that some of us had earlier today, thanks to a couple of fronts getting close by and much more low pressure in charge of our weather, which we haven't seen for a number of weeks, if not months. And it's that will bring a little bit more cloud from time to time, a bit more of a breeze, and some further outbreaks of rain. But it is still fine out there as we head into this evening. For much of the night, it will stay dry. But as that front starts to arrive during the early hours, we'll see the cloud increasing. And for most of us towards dawn, we'll see some more rain coming through, perhaps a little steadier than it was earlier on this morning. But it's still going to be a pretty warm night regardless. And then this rain just fragments to something a little showery, very reminiscent of how things were this morning, because that too clears through. And by the afternoon, once again, we're back to some sunshine and similar temperatures, mid-20s, I would have thought, and not such a humid feel to things, but a return of some sunshine regardless. High tide as we head through tomorrow. Falmouth about 9:45 in the morning and about 10:05 at night. Now, beyond that, a few more showery outbreaks of rain for the tail end of the week. So that's where those rainfall totals will start to mount up, but only small amounts, and some parts of South Devon and Dorset may still see very little. Temperatures are that little bit lower as well, somewhere near normal, maybe a fraction below, but a fresher, more manageable feel to things. But those that have been busy over the last couple of days, when it comes to that fine weather course, have been our farmers, busy working with whatever they've got for the time being.
TUI sponsors ITV West Country weather.
Yeah, never have so many been hoping for rain, it must be said. Thank you so much, Charlie. Good to see you.
That's it from us. I'll have the late news for you at 10:30.
But as ever after the break, the ITV news continues tonight with Mary from all of us here. Bye-bye.
Bye.